Hello future RMTs, once again welcome to our online classroom, and in today's video what we are going to discuss is all about the Lean Six Sigma and quality improvement in the clinical chemistry section. For this lecture, our learning outcomes are as follows. Discuss the basic concepts of Lean Six Sigma process and improvement, apply the MAC method in the laboratory process improvement, and discuss the new concepts of clinical laboratory quality management. In our previous discussion, we discussed about quality control. How are we going to maintain and how are we going to assess our quality control? We said that quality control can be assessed using the Westgard rules and using the Levigenin's chart in order for us to take note if there is a trend and if there is a shift in our values in our control. In quality improvement and quality assurance, the purpose of this one is to monitor and for detecting and preventing the errors that might cause interference in the performance of our duties and responsibilities as medical laboratory scientists or as medical technologists. Take note that quality improvement and quality assurance eliminates the potential negative patient impact, which is due to the error and leniency as well as the waste of time in waiting for the results. And take note that quality improvement and quality assurance achieves a new levels of performance because we were able to improve, we were able to assure that the tests that we are doing or the services that we are doing in the laboratory is really on the process or really on the state of quality. Okay, now if we are going to discuss and differentiate quality improvement from quality assurance, it is noticeably that quality improvement deals with the systematic approach in analyzing current performance. In other words, quality improvement, no, quality improvement is ensuring that the process or that the standards that we are using is really the systematic approach to maintain the quality in our laboratory. Okay, while for quality assurance, that is the uh, process or that monitors the particular procedures or processes. Now, we are assuring that the one that we are doing is really on the state of quality. Quality improvement is a art or a process wherein we are doing improvement, no, in the things that we are doing in the laboratory. We are not limited on just to achieve our goal, but how can we further achieve the goals using the standards that we have. Okay, and take note that quality assurance ensures the expected levels of quality standards. Okay, there are definitions, no, that will help us to identify or words that will help us to identify the difference between quality improvement and quality assurance. If we are going to discuss about quality improvement, it deals with the question, what can we do to improve? From the word itself, improve, you are the performance or the services that you might doing is really on the state of quality, but still there are rooms for improvement. There are things that we can still do so that our processes or our procedures can be improved. No? In other words, quality improvement does not limit alone on achieving something that you have done. Quality improvement is continuous improving or a continuous process of maintaining and improving the state of the quality that is being rendered by the laboratory. However, furthermore, no, quality improvement is a proactive. Why proactive? Because we are improving. Even though that we might be on the state of the quality, no, we're still improving what we have. Okay? quality improvement is always eyeing for what are the things that we can still improve and how can we still improve what we are doing. Okay, that's why it is a proactive. However, if we fail to achieve these goals, no, uh, quality improvement tends to avoids blame. I'm sorry. Quality improvement avoids blame. Unlike in some hospitals or institutions wherein if you fail, if you were not able to perform the test, you will be blamed. Bakit hindi mo siya nagawa yung test? No? In quality improvement, instead of blaming someone, no, it will help us to identify the reasons why the medical technologist was not able to perform the test. And these incident will help us to improve the services that we have. Okay, and since we are improving, no, quality improvement fosters system change. Not all, diba, we Filipinos tend to believe na nakasanayan na. Okay? Nakasanayan na that ang results will be released after 4 hours. But not all nakasanayan na is always correct. Not all nakasanayan na is what we need to do, what we need to follow. Because world is evolving, change is coming. No? That's why quality improvement foster change. Not all what we have nakasanayan will still be followed in the laboratory. Okay? And take note that quality improvement focuses on the entire system, not only on a specific incident, not only on specific problem, but on the entire system, on how to improve not only the extraction procedure, but to improve the whole procedure, the whole services that being rendered by the laboratory. Okay? Now, the other way around for quality assurance. For quality assurance, now we are specified on the incident that have been done. Yung accident, your incident na nangyari. What went wrong? That's why quality assurance is reactive and often punitive because it is limited only on the specific incident that might be the reason or that is the reason kung bakit nangyari yung problem na yon o yung error na yon. Sometimes the solutions in this specific incident has a domino effect, or sometimes these solutions that we have is not really the appropriate solutions for what we are doing. So instead of focusing on a single or a specific problem or incident, okay, we must focus on the whole entity so that we can improve. Baka kasi yung problem is not only on that specific procedure, but the whole procedure itself is the problem na. That's why we have to improve. Okay? That's why it is important to take note that quality improvement and quality assurance will be together in maintaining the state of quality in the clinical laboratory. Now we have what we call the Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma is a combination of Six Sigma and Lean principles that will help us to identify and to further improve the quality improvement and quality assurance in the clinical laboratory. Now, when we said Six Sigma, it deals with or it is a business management strategy developed by Motorola. And the purpose of Six Sigma is to improve the performance of the processes. Like what I've said, no, quality improvement tends to focus on how are we going to improve the performance. So somehow Six Sigma answers the quality improvement. On the other hand, we have here Lean principles. Lean principles is work, no, to eliminate the waste such as streamlining. Okay. When we said streamlining, that is the process of reducing the waiting times of the patient or of the uh, what you call this, of the customers. Okay, Lean principles was pioneered by Toyota Motors. Okay, which provides a tangible metrics for quality improvement. Okay, so both Six Sigma and Lean principles, deals with how are we going to improve, and take note, guys, that Six Sigma improve the performance of process by identifying and eliminating the causes of defects and errors in the laboratory or in the institution. Okay, while lean principles eliminate waste. Okay, we also have questions in mind to remember Six Sigma from the difference between Six Sigma from Lean. Okay, when we said Six Sigma, the question that we must have in our mind is how can this process be improved? Okay, since Six Sigma, no, since Six Sigma wants to reduce errors, that's why we are improving. Okay, and in Lean, thus this step needs to exist because the ultimate goal of Lean is to remove waste or streamline or waiting time. In other words, Lean Six Sigma is used to increasingly reduce the waiting time and the error in the process. Okay? Lean Six Sigma is used to increasingly reduce the waiting time or the waste, that is the focus of the lean, and to reduce error, so that we will be improved, and that is the focus of Six Sigma. Okay, uh, Lean Six Sigma was pioneered by Dr. J.M. Juran, and according to him, continuous improvement does not make an organization distinctive or excellent. Instead, it is the rate of the improvement that distinguishes the organization. Okay? It is the rate of improvement that distinguishes the organization. If there is a noticeable change, noticeable improvement in a certain company, then it makes them popular because they are continuously improving what they have in their institution. Okay, Lean Six Sigma is divided into four categories. You can be a yellow belt, a green belt, a black belt, or a MBB. Okay, when we said a yellow belt, you are a yellow belt or you are Lean Six Sigma yellow belt. It means that you are aware on the Lean Six Sigma processes. You have a knowledge of what is Lean Six Sigma. Okay? If you are a Lean Six Sigma green belt, you tend to focus on the tool usage, DMAC, and Lean principles application. You are not only aware on the Lean Six Sigma process, but you are capable to apply the tools and the information about or the application of Lean Six Sigma, particularly the DMIAC, the define, measure, uh, analyze, interpret, and control. And you are a black belt Lean Six Sigma if you are a full-time project leader, no, who is more knowledgeable than green belt and yellow belt. And lastly, you can be MBB, no, which means you are a black belt trained with at least 2 years experience, teaches Lean Six Sigma. Okay, sometimes black belt is the project leader or the head of the institution that will lead you to further identify, the problem evaluate the problem, define the problem, make resolutions, analyze the problem, and control the procedure or the uh, resolution that you come up after identifying the problem that you have. Okay. Now, how about process involvement? Process involvement, no, includes variation and waste. When we said variation, it is unpredictable and undesirable outcomes. And that is what is being focused by the Six Sigma. Okay, and waste is increased cost and delay. That is the waste, no? That is the streamlining. Okay, and take note, guys, that Lean Six Sigma uses problem-causing solution methodologies to improve any processes through waste elimination and variation. You identify the problem, what is the cause of the problem, and then give the solution to the problem so that this problem won't be so that this the problem will be answered. Now, in making solutions, it is important to take note that the solutions that we are going to propose, the solutions that we are going to impose, the solutions that we are going to have should be a long-term solution to prevent the waste and the variation in the processes that we have. Because if the solution that we are going to have is just a short-term solution, or if we are going to have a solution that will also cause a problem, then that is not a solution, then the process won't be improved. Okay? That's why we have what we call the Lean Six Sigma principles, which helps us to further identify the problem. How are we going to uh, measure the problem, to quantify the problem? How are we going to identify the causes of the problem? How are we going to implement solution, no, on the or improve, no, implement and verify the solution about the problem, and how are we going to maintain the solution? That is the most common problems in the institutions, not only in hospitals, not only in laboratory setup, but almost in all companies wherein they arrive, or even in the government. We have already the solution, but the execution of the solution and the controlling and maintaining of the solution is the problem, because we were not able to maintain, we were not able to uh, execute the solutions that we have. Okay, using these Six Sigma principles will help us to define the problem and make and maintain the solutions that we have for a specific problem. Okay, and process improvement, no, includes should includes the following. Okay, a universally accepted framework for quality improvement. Ibig sabihin, this framework must be widely known by the institution rather. Hindi pwedeng yung process owner lang ang nakakaalam ng framework na ito. All employees must be aware about the framework for the quality improvement of a certain laboratory. Common language throughout the organization must be used. Hindi pwede yung paiba-iba kayo, no? That's why we're always saying, no, if I may use the words of Dean Janet, she's always saying, we must sing in the same tune, in the same lyrics. Okay? That's the common language throughout the organization. Hindi pwedeng you have a different interpretations on your quality improvement. Okay? A checklist to guide the process. How are you going to do the process? How are you going to improve the process if you don't have the black and white or the written or the checklist or the guide of the process? And then control measures to sustain improvement and often offer a long-term monitoring. This is what I am telling a while ago. The solutions that we are going to impose are solutions which will give you a long-term solution, and if a long-term solution will be imposed, then it is just unnecessary to have a long-term monitoring. Okay. Now, I've mentioned in the previous slide about the DIMYAC, okay, or the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Take note, guys, that this Lean Six Sigma principle allows the identification of root cause of the error and waste. Root cause, ano ba yung pinagmulan? Ano ba yung dahilan? Bakit merong error at bakit merong waste in a certain laboratory? Okay? So we have here define. If we are going to discuss define, it is simply about create a charter, create a CPOC high-level map, create VOC, use VOC presence in the CTQ, and plan project including communication plan. But the question is, what is this charter? Charter is established, no, a problem statement, the importance of the project, the scope of the project, measures, and the project schedule and resources. In other words, in this process or in define process, we are defining, we you are having a brainstorming on knowing or indicating what is the problem in the process, what is the problem in the procedure. And like what I've said, it creates CPOC high-level map. And what is this CPOC? SIPOC is or SIPOC is an abbreviation that means supply, input, process, customer. And this map encourage system thinking by focusing the team to see the process through the eyes of the customer. You are defining the problem not as a member of the management, but on the perspective of a patient. What is the purpose of that? The purpose of that, no? That's why we have to create the VOC, the voice of the customer. The purpose of that is to identify the drivers if the cost of the customer satisfaction and expand it further to CTQ. Diba? Let's say for example, your friend is having a problem. You cannot say what you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, no? Unless otherwise you are on the same situation. Hindi mo mararamdaman yung nararamdaman niya kasi wala ka sa sitwasyon na yon. That's why we are always saying put yourself on the shoe of the other so that you will be able to know what they are experiencing. That is the same thing in defining the problem in process improvement. Take the definition, take the knowing the problem on the eyes of a customer. Okay? And define, now after taking up all those things, after coming up with the definition of what is really the problem, then we'll be able to plan a project including the communication plan, who will be involved in this project. Next in line is we have measure. In measure, we create map and analyze current processes, develop data collection plan, collect business baseline data, calculate the process sigma, focus on charter and problem statement. Okay? Again, take note guys that in measure, we have the maps, the CPOC. We measure our sigma. We measure our standard deviation from the mean, and we measure the process that we have on the eyes or on the perspective of the customer. Mapping the entire process, collecting data, and graphing the data will help us to quantify the problem. Graphing may include histogram, box plots, dot plots, run charts, and quality control charts, which includes the Levi-Jennings chart. Measure also includes the descriptive statistics for quality control. And take note, the higher the sigma, the less variation in the process, which means the better the outcomes. The higher the sigma, the less variation in the process, the better the outcomes. Okay? And in healthcare setting, the sigma ranges from 3 to 4. Okay? The sigma ranges from 3 to 4. I want you to take note and I want you to remember, guys, the higher the process sigma, the less variation and the process in the process, and it means you will have a better outcomes. Now, after defining, after measuring, uh, after quantifying the problem, the next thing to do is to identify the cause of the problem. Thus, we are going to analyze. And how are we going to analyze the problem? Identifying the cause of the problem or analyzing the cause of the problem will help us or will require us to do brainstorming. And if you are doing a brainstorming, you are not the only one who is doing it. As the song says, two heads is better than one. Diba? How can you come up or how can you brainstorm if the idea is saturated, if you are the only one who have the idea? There will be no idea na or enough ideas na makukuha if there are only one person involved in a brainstorming. In brainstorming, you are thinking, you are analyzing the root causes of the problem. Ano yung pinaka-pinagmulan? Ano yung dahilan? Ano yung cause of the problem? No? Select potential causes. Okay? Select potential causes or potential root causes, cause and effect data, and verify the root causes. Ito ba talaga ang problema natin? Now, I want you to take note, guys, that analyzing or analyze includes 5 ways. Number 1 is what I've said, the brainstorming. Okay? So I will write. Okay? So I will share my whiteboard. So again, in analyzing, number 1 is we have to do. Again, kapag po sinabi natin brainstorming, hindi ka mag-isa lang. Okay? Kasi, kaunti lang yung idea na ma-generate mo. Number 2, analyzing requires what we call applying of the 5 why analysis or 5 why approach. Apply the 5 why approach. What do we mean by 5 why approach? 5 why approach defines the problem. Okay? In 5 why approach, we define the problem. Later, I will give you an example of 5 why approach. You define the problem. After defining the problem, you are brainstorming, you are thinking, you are analyzing what are the reasons why this problem occur, why this error occur, why there is a waste of time, why there is a streamline in the process. Okay? Next is we have the Fishbone Method. Fishbone Method help us to identify the relationships, no? Recognizing relationship within each other. Number 4, we have creating and applying affinity diagrams to find commonalities in the process. Okay? Kasi baka meron ka namang procedure na paulit-ulit lang. Baka meron ka dyan procedure na hindi na dapat. Baka meron ka dyan procedure na dapat nang alisin, which causes waste or streamline in the processing time. Okay? Kaya tumatagal yung turnaround time. Kasi paulit-ulit, pabalik-balik si patient. Okay? And number 5 is use failure mode and effect analysis. Okay? This failure mode and effect analysis analyze risk and highlight aspects of the process. Okay? So these are the things that we can do to analyze the problem. Usually, these first two principles or procedures is the one being followed. So like what I've said, I'm going to show you an example of a 5Y approach. We are all aware that we have a backlog in the results of RRT-PCR for the determination if you are a carrier or if you are infected with COVID-19. Now, that is a good example of applying our root cause analysis using our 5Y approach. The problem is there is a delay in the release of the results of the RRT-PCR during the first months of or during the first 2 months of the COVID-19 pandemic in the Philippines. Bakit? Bakit merong delay ng release of results in the RRT-PCR? The first why is, bakit? Because there is an increase in the demand, no? There is an increase in the demand of the laboratory test. Bakit may increase in the demand? Because of the COVID-19. Bakit may increase yung demand? Okay, only few laboratories can perform the test. Bakit? Few lang. Okay? Bakit few lang ang laboratory na nagka-perform ng test? Because there are only few registered medical technologists who can perform the test. Why? Why there is only few RMTs who can perform the test? They are not trained to do the test. Why they are not trained to do the test? Because we are not prepared in this pandemic. Okay? So that can be a root cause analysis of why there is a delay in the release of the results of the RRT-PCR. For example, another example, I will make the screen white. Wait. How can I make it? Yeah. I'll just show my whiteboard. Another example that we can have is you failed. Okay? You failed in the exam. Why? You didn't study. That's the first why. Okay? Failed in the exam. Exam. First why? You didn't study. Why? You procrastinate. Why? Too much or nag-procrastinate ka kasi too much modules. Bakit madaming modules? Okay? Compressed time. Because of compressed time. Bakit compress yung time? Because we are time bound. And we have to comply with a specific time. Or, another example is, you are late in the class. No? And this is what I miss. No seeing late students looking at the window of the door if they can enter the classroom because the teacher is me. Or, no one is late in my class because you are afraid of me. So let's say you are late in the class. No? You are late in class. Bakit ka late? You woke up late. Or you woke up late. Bakit? Your alarm didn't ring? Or hindi nag-ring ang alarm mo? Bakit hindi nag-ring ang alarm mo? Your cell phone or your clock is not functioning. Well, wala naman kayong mga gumagamit ng alarm clock. No, you are using your phones. Oh, sige na lang. So, dahil you are not using alarm clock, your phones. Okay, your alarm clock or your cell phone did not ring or whatever. Bakit hindi nag-ring? No? You are low-bat. Bakit ka low-bat? You didn't charge. Bakit hindi ka nag-charge? Kasi you are single. No? You are single. Okay? Take natin ang line. You are single and you are not aware your battery level. Okay? Late ka tuloy. It's because you are single. That's the cause why you are late in the class. You don't have inspiration. Sad life. Now, kidding aside, okay? Kidding aside, the 5 why approach help us to realize, help us to take note, help us to understand, and help us to identify what is the problem, the major or the problem on the floor, why this waste and variation occur. Okay. The next slide is an example of a fishbone diagram. Like what I've said, a fishbone diagram shows the relationship, no, of each other. Now we have here improve. Okay, in improve, we develop potential solutions. We prioritize selection of solutions. No, we develop plans and pilots. We implement pilots. We develop full-scale implementation plan and evaluate the plan. In other words, in improve, you are implementing a solution that will verify, you are implementing a solution that will prohibit or stop the problem, that will stop the error, that will stop the waste, that will stop the violation. And before you implement solution, you must verify first if that is the solution talaga suitable for that problem. Like what I've said, no? Like what I've said, the solution must be a long term because the purpose of quality improvement is to improve. What can we do to improve? Because if we are just going to give a solution which is not based on what is really the existing problem, then the solution that we might have, the solution that we might implement will be the cause of another variation and error in our process. Since that we already define, measure, analyze, and improve our process, then since our purpose is to continuously improve our performance, then we have to control. Control is simply maintaining the solution that we have. Control is simply making sure that everything is being followed. Okay? We develop process changes. Since that you have a new implementation, new process, then it must be documented. All processes, procedures, and implementation or changes in the laboratory must be documented. In your activity in the laboratory, which I asked you to prepare a manual of operations, no, there is two groups, if I am not mistaken, one from the 3-1 group and one from the 3-2 group, who got my attention because they were able to get, or they were able to include the document number, the revision number, the document, the document number, the revision number, the process owner, and the one, the implementation date of the process of the procedure. That's correct. That is really what is correct. That is really what a what you call this? What a manual of operations looks like. Okay, what is the purpose of that? The purpose of that is to maintain, to take note, no? Pang ilang revision na ba ito? Kailan ito implement? Is the solution being implemented from the date of the implementation up until now that we have the error? Okay? And this process summarizes lessons learned, okay, and transition to the process owner. Now, the process sigma represents the capability of a process to meet its defined acceptability. Okay? Process sigma is usually represented as a number of defects per million of opportunities, or what we call the DPMO. Okay? Again, process sigma represents the capability and process to meet its defined acceptability or defined criteria of acceptability. Okay, and process sigma is usually represented as a number of error per million opportunities. And take note, guys, that a sigma values represents the standard deviation away from the mean. Okay? Sigma represents the standard deviation away from the mean. Take note of this. What are the applications of Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, in the laboratory? Number 1, staffing assignment. Number 2, assay performance. Number 3, turnaround times. Number 4, number of rejected samples. Number 5, specimen transport, and number 6, relay of critical values. This is not the only applications of process sigma or Lean Six Sigma in the laboratory. These are just of the few applications of Lean Six Sigma or process sigma or process improvement in the laboratory. Number 1, staff assignment. Why will you assign someone in the blood banking section na fresh graduate na ang training lang niya sa blood banking is during her internship, no? Specialized section or special section in the laboratory requires skilled, trained clinical laboratory scientist. Before you assign a certain staff in a certain section, you must be aware of what is his or her credentials, what is his or her skills, okay? Assay performance, evaluate, take note, what is the problem? Bakit nagkakaroon ng error in the performing the test, in performing the results? Turnaround times, okay? Bakit sobrang tagal? Ano yung dahilan? Bakit sobrang tagal ng mga pasyente bago makuna ng dugo? Take note of this, guys. A chief medical technologist must use a managerial process or managerial techniques in order for him or her to take note the number of staff that he or she needs to assign in phlebotomy area. At ano po yung process na yon? That process is what we call the queuing time or queuing process. Ano po yung ibig sabihin, sir, ng queuing process? Queuing, meron kang systematic way of knowing the number. Queuing. Okay? Merong number system. Parang sa mga bangko, no? Parang sa mga bangko, kumukuha ka ng number. Tinitingnan mo kung pang ilan ka doon. And that queuing system will help the chief medical technologist to know gaano katagal nagra-run, gaano katagal ang tinatagal ng isang pasyente in waiting for his or her turn to have his or her blood drawn. Okay? Those are some of the applications of the clinical of quality of my God. Those are some of the some of the applications of Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, and the clinical laboratory. Okay? So this is what I'm telling a while ago. For your process, to eliminate waste, you have to evaluate the process. Your current process is this one. Step 1. After step 1, no? After step 1, you have step 2A. You have step 2B. Kapag ganito, dito ka pupunta. Kapag ganito, dito ka pupunta. Pero, at the end of the day, no? Either you go to step 2A or you go to step 2B. At the end of the day, pupunta ka rin naman pala sa step 4. Meron ka lang mga pinagdaanan na pinag-iba-iba ka pa where you should go. Usually, this process or this problem occurs in the saan? Sa government. If you are having your license, let's say for example in LTO, bago mo makuha yung lisensya mo from the LTO, it takes several processes. That's why it takes a lot of time, a whole day process for you to have your license to drive. Diba? Instead of making it simple like this, you have a lot of processes that might be reduced. Hey, Six Sigma optimization. from this problematic process down to a simple one. No? Eliminating the variations, then we have a simplified one. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And applying the lean principle, downlining the streamline, then we come up with the 5 basic steps that will allow our patient to have his or her blood drawn. Let's say, for example, no, this is your current process. That's why you have to evaluate your process if that's really the problem. No, let's for example this one. In this one, you have your, for example, step 1 is the patient identification. No, you're going to enter the result. You're going to enter the patient's information or demographics in your computer. Kapag inpatient, kapag cash, proceed to step 2B. Kapag HMO, the one who's using card, then proceed to step 2A. Kapag premium 3A, kapag hindi 3B, at the end of the day, pupunta ka rin naman pala sa step 4. Ang dami po mong pinagdaanan. Okay? Sa step 4, babalik ka ng laboratory for the blood extraction. Tatanungin ka. Okay? And then you will be, let's say for example, step 5 is inpatient, outpatient. So, ganito ang gagawin mo, ganun ang gagawin mo. At the end of the day, pupunta ka rin naman pala sa step 7. You go here, you go there. Okay? Ang tagal ng process. That's why some of the patients become, irritated, naiinis na, naiyamot na, tapos pagdating doon, hindi pa makukunan ng dugo. No? By applying the Six Sigma principle and the Lean principle, we will be able to stream down our process to eliminate the waste and variation in our processing time. Okay? Now, the practical applications of Six Sigma metrics is detecting laboratory error, okay? Defining the sigma performance of the assay, choosing the appropriate Westgard rules. Okay. Now, in detecting laboratory errors, it is important to know that the error rates in the laboratory is seen at 1:164 to 1:8,300. Approximately, if we are going to compute the Six Sigma, yung 1:100, 1:164 error rate in the laboratory accounts for 6,098 errors in a million per opportunity. Okay? The 1:8,300 estimated error occurs 20 errors in a million. Okay, Lean Six Sigma enable us to detect what are the errors in the laboratory, the error rates in the laboratory, and to improve our services in that certain laboratory. Okay? Originally or formerly, no, errors in the laboratory, they tend to focus only on the errors of analytical error or the examination error. Examination error includes the problem in the machine, the assay performance, or the medical technologist himself or herself in the cause of the analytical error. But interestingly, analytical error in the laboratory accounts for only 4 to 32%, and majority of the error in the laboratory is indicated in the pre-analytical phase of the laboratory or pre-examination phase of the laboratory, which accounts to 32 to 75%. And surprisingly, post-analytical error is the second type or the second most common source of error, which accounts to 9 to 55%. of the error. Why is it analytical error yung mababa yung chance of having the error? Analytical factors, no? Yung mababa ang chances of having an error, analytical error, because we have the quality control. We have quality control programs. We have National External Quality Assurance Scheme that maintains the external, no, the intralab, no, the interlab. I'm sorry, interlab quality assurance. And this analytical process includes the analysis and the data flow of the results. Now, it is important to take note that prior to analysis, there is a requisition of the test. Okay? Requisition of the test. And requisition of the test must be included in analyzing or detecting laboratory errors. There is a sick patient. The doctor evaluates the condition of the patient. The doctor requires test. Sometimes yung problema, yung test na in-order ni doktor, hindi lahat yun na-encode or napagawa ni nurse. Hahanapan ngayon ng result, walang maibigay na result. Or, pwede rin naman, the result or the test requested by the doctor is complete. But the collection itself is the problem. Why there is a error in the laboratory. And this is what I keep on telling, that patient identification is both, or patient misidentification is both an analytical error or pre-analytical error, both pre-analytical error and a post-analytical error. Bakit hindi po siya naging part of the analytical error? You collected blood from a patient who is not really the patient who requested or who have that blood test. Nung nag-switch ka ng patient mo, pero the same test ang na-perform, walang mali doon. Unless otherwise, the analysis itself is faulty din. No? Walang accuracy and reliability and precision yung inyong machine. That can be. Pero, if we're going to take a look at it, it is a pre-analytical and post-analytical. Why is it post-analytical is also included in patient misidentification? You misidentify the patient, therefore, the blood test result will be misinterpreted. Misinterpreted laboratory result will lead to misdiagnosis and treatment of the disease, of the condition. Therefore, there will be no healthy patient. And if there is no healthy patient, the patient will be inside a chamber which will preserve his or her body because he or she died because of your error in identifying the correct patient. Okay? That is the importance of detecting the errors in the laboratory to prevent this one. Okay, defining the performance of the sigma performance, or defining the sigma performance of an assay requires us what we call the OPCS specs. What is OPS? Okay, this is a chart or a table, no, that allows us, or that shows us the total allowable error. This also includes the systematic error as well as the random error. And take note guys, when we said systematic error, that deals with inaccuracy of the result, of the performance of the assay. And random error is the imprecision, no, in the performance of the laboratory result. Okay, so we have here the performance standards for common clinical chemistry analytes as defined by the CLIA. So these are the expected errors for some of the common clinical tests in the clinical chemistry section. Okay? And lastly is the choosing the appropriate Westgard rules. Sigma is equals to the total allowable error minus the bias over the coefficient of variation. Take note guys that total allowable error represents the error budget based on the biological variation based on this one. Bias refers to the systematic error of the assay. And of course, the coefficient of variation is the analytical analysis of the assay, right? Analytical SD of the assay, okay? Sigma, if a sigma of a variation is greater than the sigma of the Westgard rule, then the rule is suitable for monitoring the error of the test. Okay? Again, if the sigma of the assay is greater than the sigma of the Westgard rule, then the rule is suitable for monitoring the error of the test. Let's say, for example, the total allowable error for potassium is 5.8%. The bias of the laboratory for the potassium analysis is 0.7%, and the coefficient of variation is 1%. So using the formula, total allowable error minus bias divided by coefficient of variation, it will give us 5.1. And if we're going to take a look with this value, 5.1 falls under the 12.5S Westgard rule. Okay? Which means, mas mataas po siya kaysa doon sa ating mga Westgard rule sigma. Okay. Now, how about quality control plan? Take note, guys, that quality control plan is described, or this describes the practices and procedures performed by the laboratory. And the purpose of quality control plan is to ensure the accuracy and reliability of the test results. Quality control plan ensures the accuracy and reliability of the test results. What are your plans to maintain the accuracy and reliability of your results? What are the things that you need to do? What will be your process in maintaining the quality of your performance? Okay. Quality assessment is a continuous process of monitoring the effectiveness of the quality control plan. Quality assessment may include the following but not limited to routine reviews of QCP, proficiency performance reviews, patient chart reviews, specimen rejection, TAT report or turnaround time report, compliant report, variance report, and safety reports. Okay, so take note that quality assessment includes the following. Quality assessment, is it working? Okay, risk assessment, what can we do, what can go wrong? And quality control plan, how do we prevent or detect the problem? Okay, that is the cycle for maintaining the quality assessment or having the quality assessment. Is it working? What can go wrong? And how do we prevent the defect? Okay, and lastly, we have here the ISO 5189, or ISO stands for International Organization for Standards. No, this agency aims to have the standardization of the processes for the entire nation, international, not only in the Philippines, not only in the United States, but international standardization of the processes. Now, ISO requires a well-documented procedure or analysis, effective detailed analysis of medical procedures, and detailed evaluation report of the procedures. In other words, ISO requires standardized, detailed, and well-organized documents of the laboratory. Those are the concepts that I want you to remember in ensuring the quality improvement and quality assessment. At the end of the day, it is important to know that variation and waste in the laboratory is a great factor, no, is a great contributor in having a variation or having a delay in the performance or in the release of the results. Again, this has been Sir Mark, and I would like to thank you for watching this video until this uh, time. If you really reach this, um, if you really reach this point or time, you will be able, to remember that accuracy, precision, and reliability is a good indicator that you must remember. Not only when you are not only kapag kayo ay medical technology na or medical technologist na, but also even even now you are a student, making your work, pursuing your dreams, in a consistent, continuous improvement and assessing your strategies in order to know if there is an error in what you are doing or in the process, in your process of studying. Thank you very much and have a nice day.